Good afternoon. The 14th Dalai Lama once said, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. I would like to modify this and say, if you think information is not important, try sleeping with a mosquito. I attract a lot of mosquitoes. They love me. They ruin my life, especially my summers. More information about whether there is mosquito repellent cream at the pharmacy helps me gain more control over my quality of life. Learning about their prices actually repels me. Knowing whether the municipality actually invested money in fighting mosquitoes can improve my quality of life. And knowing how much money is actually put in purchasing insecticides helps me reorganize my priorities. In a way, more information helps us gain more agency over our lives, even if our perspective is very simple and small, a mosquito. And when we gain more agency over our lives, more control, as individuals, we can then try to imagine that as a collective, as a group, and maybe as a society. We're very lucky in Tunisia that our constitution and our legal framework guarantees our right to access information, at least in theory. Technically, with the existing framework, we can know in all 350 municipalities how much money is allocated to fight insects if we check budget line number 3302/01. Technically, with the existing legal framework, every one of you should be able to connect to 350 websites and check the budget of every municipality over the years and see how much money is actually allocated to improve the lives of us human beings, the best prey for mosquitoes, who happen to be the deadliest animal on Earth from the perspective of human beings. It is almost impossible to try to put in words all of the effort that was put through tens of organizations, hundreds of people, through thousands of hours to guarantee this right. It is even more impossible to try to capture how this right became rooted in our collective expectation. This is not only words that are written through ink, put on paper, maybe memorized by a few, and forgotten by many officials, unfortunately. This is also an expectation, and this is another level when it comes to rights. On the 6th of May 2018, it was a historic day from the perspective of all Tunisians because it happened to be the date where the first municipal elections were organized in Tunisia after the adoption of the constitution and after the revolution. And it was really a revolutionary day because finally we got to elect the members of the councils in the 350 municipalities who will discuss how much money they will put in budget line 3302/01. Who will decide how much money will be allocated to fighting mosquitoes in our municipalities? The elections, or the municipal elections, came in a glorious time in Tunisia. We have the Access to Information Law, we have the decentralization law that was adopted that guarantees so many transparency guidelines that any citizen in theory should be able to access almost anything related to the activities of their municipalities. One day, I think 2 weeks after the elections, I got a message from a friend of mine called Sami. He's from Dhiba. Dhiba is in Tatawin. It's the farthest municipality from the center. It's as decentral as you can get geographically. Sami is a very active citizen in Dhiba, and his message was him complaining about the fact that the first municipal meeting, the meeting where the mayor is supposed to be elected, was closed. He told me very instinctively, Chaima, this is supposed to be an open meeting. It makes no sense for this meeting to be closed in the face of civil society organizations and media. Sami did not only send his message to me, he also sent it to so many national civil society organizations that are involved in transparency, good governance, and sometimes decentralization. What Sami had actually done was not only complain about the fact that the governor was trying to limit transparency in the most basic decision that the municipality is supposed to make, which is electing a mayor. He actually triggered what I like to call a transparency chain. What happened is that a mere message from a local level ignited reactions on a regional level. There was a lot of coverage about the fact that this meeting was closed, and then reactions on a national level, where civil society organizations suddenly covered this issue and they published press releases, and there was a lot of talk about it because it is kind of the opposite of what we expected about the newly elected municipal councils. Now, that is not the most fascinating thing. The most fascinating thing is that if we imagine that the mayor that was supposed to be elected in Dhiba is this gray one, we discovered that there are a few other cases of non-transparent practices that happened from the other extreme. So up north, also to the west, and to the far east. A local cry for transparency that was so natural, organic, and instinctive actually helped us evaluate how the municipal councils or helped us not evaluate, but maybe try to predict how they will be dealing with transparency in the future from one very basic act, which is electing the mayor. What Sami actually did is he helped us see from a national perspective how transparency and access to information is actually treated from his local interests. And this is the level that I'm talking about, which is moving from a right to a collective expectation. This is not only a right that we know is guaranteed, this is a civic expectation that we expect that the elected members of the municipal council, that members of parliament, that anyone really who is in touch with the public sphere is expected to be transparent. I think the Dalai Lama was actually talking about municipalities when he said, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Municipalities will prove, and I have no doubt about this, will prove to be the real, true revolution in governance in Tunisia because they happen to be on a level that is accessible to so many citizens, where they can actually practice their expectations. The parliament in Tunisia is expected to be transparent, the government is expected to be transparent, but geographically and physically, they're not as accessible to the majority of Tunisians. However, every Tunisian knows their municipality, and every Tunisian can go, and every Tunisian can actually practice the rights that they have to keep them alive, not only in their own municipality, but to actually impact all 350, and hopefully it will be the opposite of trickling down. We will have the access to information and transparency expectation move all the way up to the central government. Thank you.